In the most unusual departure for the MCU to date, Civil War follows Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane Watson. What happens, Matt?
So basically, in each of the like phase 1 and phase 2 movies, and the start of phase 3,
I've dropped off since Endgame, so you're gonna have to like catch me up.
Okay, so basically, this one's set before Endgame. This one's set before Black Widow. You know, that was out of order. This is also out of order. So this is set.
Yeah.
I think like roughly after Ant-Man. I think.
Is this mainline or is this
it's much after that.
Like a multiverse film? It's got to be multiverse, isn't it?
This is. I don't know if they're doing that still because Jonathan Majors smacked his wife or something. I don't know. Anyway,
I thought the president was a Kang variant.
Or maybe he is. That makes sense. Anyway, this movie opens with Scarlet Witch bombing Lagos, and so they have to come up with the Sokovia Accords, and that makes America very cross, and so there's a civil war. And MJ is obviously she's failed as a singer on Broadway. Because
classic.
She's the only variant of Spider-Man with an unsuccessful girlfriend. So she decides to become a war photographer instead, because that's the logical progression. And in a world with the Avengers, there's quite a lot of destruction in the world, and lots to photograph. And that's why we have so many fucking movies. So anyway, so she wants to go to DC to interview the president, because the president is basically like dictator. What a mess of a bit that was.
Oh my god, that wasn't funny at all. Joking aside, what did you think
that was
of
joking aside.
Civil War?
What did I think of Civil War? I thought the final third was really good, and I was really into it. And I thought before that it was a bit too. It was like basically. The concept's cool, and a modern day or like slight future civil war in America. How would that happen? Where would that come from? The law. A lot of interesting potential with that, and with conflicts, and that's what I wanted to see. I didn't want to see a movie about people taking photos and trying to get a nice shot, and journalism and organising interviews. And a road trip movie where they don't interact with anyone; they just talk in a car the whole way. That's boring. I don't care about that. But then, from when Jesse Plemons was introduced onwards, the stakes were always quite high. We saw a lot of the combatants, we saw more of the war, we learnt more, and it became a hell of a lot more interesting for me. And then it ended on a high.
You know what? Exactly what you just said.
Yeah, reverse it.
I reverse it. Take that. Reverse it. I think the final act was so aimless and muddy.
It was
that it completely fumbles.
Yes, there was definitely 10 minutes of just no plot and just soldiers firing guns.
Yeah.
Ignore that 10 minutes. I just mean like definitely the highlight of the film. If it was just a short film of that scene with Jesse Plemons,
completely,
it would have been the best part of the movie.
Why was that in the trailer? Yeah, obviously because it was the best part of the film.
Yeah.
If that wasn't in the trailer,
for that bit, I was really sick. I was on edge. I was like, who's going to kill? He's like, this is the actual tensions of war, and like, whose side is on who, and it's like it doesn't matter what sides they are because they're both. There's still like evil people on both sides, innocent people on both sides. Yeah. There was some interesting stuff, and it had so much tension, and there was no tension at any other point in the whole film. It was just like, I feel like they're probably safe.
You mentioned at the start that it sets itself up to be very politically interesting, and I completely agree. Like a lot of the advertising around it is this big map of America, and it's all split off into sections, and there are like the Western forces and the normal government, and then there's another
the Florida
section
Alliance or something, and there's another one of like the North West, but I don't think we ever really hear about them.
Not relevant. That map is not relevant. It's like saying that everyone in Florida, they've all suddenly got one eye.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's
but
just
not
it's
saying
never
why.
talked about.
So that's the problem is, I want to know why California and Texas have joined together. They would never join together in real life. So what that's really event
interesting.
Has caused that to happen?
Yeah.
I want to know. It didn't tell me.
I think it kind of mentions that Nick Offerman, who plays the president, which... Again, what a fumble. Get him in it more. He's in at the start and he's in at the end. Make him in it more. He's great.
I've written down his speech at the start. So it opens with exposition. It opens with a speech, a presidential address. And take a guess which president they based him on. Oh God, I won't be able to do this.
Take a deep breath.
We are the closest we have ever been to victory. Some are already calling it the greatest victory in the history of mankind. Today, I can announce the so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great loss, very great defeat at the hands of the great men and women of the United States. The people of Texas and California should know that we have to let back to the United States as soon as these illegal secessionist government have been opposed. I can also announce the Florida. I can't do it. It's meant to be Trump.
That was great. That was so good.
I could do an okay one when I'm really drunk.
He was. Matt was doing like the OK signal you do in your scuba diving the entire time with both hands, just moving from side to side.
And your flat palms open, like you're showing
palms, shrugging your shoulders. Yeah.
My point is, he's Trump, but they don't do enough with that. Like, obviously, people complain when Trump is satirized because he's sort of so easy, but he's such a big part of politics in the world as of the last decade. So, of course, he's going to be in movies. He's going to be like. And he's created a whole new sort of conservatism, and then a new sort of like people to be against that. And so it makes sense if there's a civil war. That's sort of why. And so the idea is that Trump,
very divisive.
Yeah, it's meant to be Trump is a third-term president. He's now a dictator, and some states are against that, and then others are still loyal to him. It's so barely brought up.
As an audience, like exactly what we're saying, if you don't know who is with you and who is against you, that is scary. And as a road trip film, going from one place to another in a war zone, not knowing who's going to kill you and who's going to help you, that's very tense. But us as an audience don't understand that, but the characters do understand that. So they'll go into a situation and will immediately know who won't kill them and who will kill them. But us as an audience, we're like, but we don't know. In this scene, there's a scene where there's a sniper in a house and they pull up and there are two guys in camo and they're like, yep, you're the press. That's fine. Here's a little vignette. And then they pull up and Jesse Plemons is there with his guys. He's in the same camo, wants to kill them all. There is no distinction. As an audience, you don't understand the sides of them all. You understand the stakes scene to scene, but you don't understand stakes as a world. You don't understand, like you said, why California and Texas are one thing, why Florida's something else, why there are people still helping this president who's taken a third term illegally. It's very muddy. I would
most like to sort of like District 9 style opening montage, opening like section of like fake found footage, I guess, like news reports and like interviews and journal. We could see war journal, a compilation of like war journalism, and just learn about the history of like the president did this, which pissed off this state, and then this state allied with this one, and then that annoyed these people who did that, and just so that we know who's who and what's going on. And like you can start off being like, oh, these are the goodies, these are baddies, and it's like, oh, but these ones kill these people, these ones kill, and you realise the different groups and their different beliefs, but why they're both potentially dangerous for different reasons to different people.
So you have four characters that you're following in this road trip, and you don't ever meet a representative of any of these groups.
No, that's the problem.
You never get
an
opportunity to exposit what's going on.
I thought you'd have the journalists, because like MJ,
they just go around taking photos.
Yeah, well, one of them is a journalist. The man is a journalist, but he doesn't interview anyone. No.
Doesn't do it.
No. He's only there to interview one person in the whole country. He doesn't bother doing anything along the way. Lee, who's Kirsten Dunst's character, has nothing to her. Like, she's just journalist, successful,
hardened,
journalist. Who knows what she's doing. But I thought it would have been more interesting if it's like, these people are journalists, but one of them is from California, one of them's from one of the states that's on the other side, one of them's from Florida, and they're like they have to work together as like neutral journalists while also being like, but my family are on this side, and my family were killed by your family's people, and you'd have that you'd have that interpersonal,
some conflict,
something to do
that
isn't, or some history
just the
with
world.
them as individuals within the Civil War. They feel like they came from a different country and have come in. Because like they ask Jesse Plemons asked what states everyone from, and they're just from generic ones that are on the US side. They're just
doesn't matter.
Generic loyalist states. And it's it's so much more interesting if she's from California, but she has to pretend like she's not, or she says that she is, and then that it escalates things.
So this Jesse Plemons scene, which is without a doubt the best scene in the film, it's on all the trailers. It's even on like the radio trailers.
I assumed he was like one of the main characters.
Yes, exactly the same.
He's not even credited.
So he turns up for a scene. A couple of characters get kidnapped by him, and they have to try and de-escalate the situation to get their friends out. And so he asks the question in a very tense scene. They're like, "We're all American. We're all American here." And he's like, "Well, you may be American, but what kind of American?" I guess this is a spoiler. And he ends up shooting the two Asian guys because they're born outside of America. But you're completely right. It should be that level deeper. Yeah. That it should be, well, what alliance are you from? And it should be, it doesn't matter where you're from because that doesn't reflect your beliefs. But that isn't touched upon at all. No. That's what the main conflict of this should have been. That it doesn't matter where you're from. That does not represent what you believe.
You could have like, I'm a part of the Western forces because I'm from Texas, but I don't agree with their point of view. I agree with this state's point of view.
Yeah.
But they don't do that. Like the idea of if you're just told like we live in different parts of the country, if they just said like, oh, the Midlands is at war with the South, I'd be like, but I don't want to be, and I don't want, and like, you know, or it'd be like, oh, but the Midlands have decided that they want to just airstrike the North, and I'm like, but I don't agree with that point of view. I agree with the South point of view. They shouldn't do that, but I'm in this place.
Yeah.
And they don't do any of that. They don't explore it in any depth whatsoever. And it's just a film about war journalism, but in a fictional war. And I think if they sort of made that more the case in the marketing, that would be fine. If it was just a film about being a war journalist. But then I would say it's more interesting just to do a real war if you're going to do a film like this. But if you're going to do a fictional civil war, make it so it don't act like it's important and then not make it important.
Yeah. The biggest issue that I have with Alex Garland a lot of the time, which is one of the reasons why I struggled to watch Annihilation, which I know a lot of people love, and I don't quite, maybe I need to rewatch it, was just the scenes of just unbelievable exposition dumpage. Just not even trying to hide it. Like the scene when they're all on a boat and they're just, why are you here?
Yeah.
Here is my backstory. Why are you here? Here is my backstory. Civil War is like the opposite of that.
So Men was my least favourite of his films, which I thought was quite scary, and I thought I thought it was like, it was just it all stood on its themes, and I thought it was a very one note. But it's weird. I think he's a very talented guy. I mean, Ex Machina is brilliant, and like he's written great films too. I mean, 28 Days Later is one of my favourite films of all time. So he is a great writer. I don't know, and I don't know if this is why it maybe was a bit not as deep as it could have been. But Alex Garland's British, and this is about like an American Civil War. So is it possible that he just doesn't have enough like deep knowledge of the history of the state and the politics of the states?
But it's fictional.
Well, it's fictional. He could have come up with some law.
He could have done whatever he wanted.
Yeah. I just like law, and I want more of it. And I feel like I never get good law out of movies these days, ever. Like
I bet a book of this would probably be great. Yeah. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
So I think we're very similar there with big thematic issues with Civil War. What about the characters?
Well, they're nothing. I mean, the only like dynamic that's in any way interesting is like the young photographer. I think it's actually a very similar dynamic to like in Logan. I feel like you just change out. You've got the new young one who is very skilled, and then you've got the how do I word this?
Disillusioned.
One who's very
knowledgeable.
he's very knowledgeable, but doesn't want the other one involved, doesn't want the new one involved. And then you've got the older one who's like, "Oh, give them a chance. They're you were like that when you were young."
Yeah, completely.
I don't know. It really reminded me of the Professor X, Logan and Laura dynamic, which is weird.
Yeah,
I mean, that's another road trip
you're
movie,
right.
though.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like post-apocalyptic future road trip movie.
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst. I don't think she was very good in this. I think she was very one note.
She didn't do anything.
That was
she
just
was
the character.
so unmemorable.
And then you got is it Wagner Mora?
Oh my god, yeah, there was a man there too, but he didn't do anything. Yeah, he was like you said, the journalist who did no journalism.
Yeah, but he's introduced as, I thought it was really interesting that she's there because she kind of lost her way and she feels that she has to do it.
Yeah.
And he's there and presented in a way that he's like an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
That he loves these situations and loves these really tense whatevers.
And out of all the stories he can get, he wants to interview the president, and that's it.
Yeah. He loves like the thrill of it.
Yeah.
But that's like, he drinks a lot, he smokes a lot. No, like that's not an issue. There's no conflict there at all. There's no conflict with him being an adrenaline junkie at all. Then you've got Stephen McKinley Henderson playing Sammy, who is the Professor X character.
I thought he was very likable.
Yeah, he's a great actor, but
he didn't
why is he there?
either.
He doesn't do anything. He hasn't got a character.
I thought
he's introduced as a rival journalist, but there's no
rivals.
conflict there at all.
Yeah, because he works for the New York Times. I remember like in that opening scene where we saw like him and whoever else there was there. I thought him and the man who's interviewing the president. I thought those two would like stay behind. These are their journalist friends to set up like film war journalism, and then they would stay there. But I was very, very surprised when they went on the road trip with them, but then they didn't contribute anything.
He dies. He gets shot.
Yeah,
and Kaylee Spaney.
Yeah, Kaylee Spaney is. I've always said it, but I never heard it said out loud.
Who plays Jessie, the younger one, the fresh one? She's crying and is like, I don't know why I'm crying. I feel like I didn't know Sammy enough. And Kirsten Dunst says, everything you've seen of Sammy is him.
Yeah.
And I thought, he's nothing then.
Yeah.
If that was who he was, I am not sad that he is dead. And in terms of arcs and all of this big stuff, it's so expected.
Yeah.
That there's a really interesting use of, I don't know if it was a lens they used or a filter they used that became more prevalent as Kirsten Dunst went on, and she became less focused and less, I don't know what it was, almost like drifting away in a lot of these scenarios. And you would see,
I know what you mean.
It kind of vignettes towards the end of the frame, and the colours start to blur when she's really not there. And I was like, oh great, so she's gonna die and Jessie is going to get that lens.
As soon as they had that conversation where
immediately.
As soon as it was like, oh, if I die, you're going to take a photo of me. And she was like, yeah. It was like, I was like, well, obviously that she's going to die and she's going to take a photo of her.
Yeah. Yeah. Kirsten Dunst doesn't learn anything.
No.
She just becomes progressively sadder and less able to do her job.
And then more dead.
She doesn't like let the girl take the glory and take a step back and decide that it isn't for me. Or Joel gets his one line from Nick Offerman.
I thought that was a like fine bare minimum conclusion to a bare minimum character.
Yeah,
he's just, the president says don't kill me and he goes that'll do, and then they shoot him.
Yeah, so it's all kind of so telegraphed, it's so expected. And the reason why I think it falls off after Sammy dies is when they reach the outpost just outside of DC, and they land, and then Joel says, well, it was all for nothing. The Western forces are going to roll into DC and they're going to take it because there's no resistance there. Okay, they still go to DC and get the interview, but so why are they doing it? If you're not the first story to break it, which they still are, what is that? What is the point of that beat? That doesn't change anything. It then just becomes, as an audience, I don't understand why you're here then.
Yeah.
If it's no longer your goal to do this, what is your goal?
Yeah.
What are you trying to do by doing this? If it's not for glory, then establish that it's because they want to do it for Sammy or they want to help Jessie do something. There is just no drive other than from that point on, Kirsten Dunst is like freaking out the entire time.
I think we should do a spin-off series where we like script doctor films and we try and fix them retroactively and be like, this is how we would have changed it in pre-production to make a better film.
Oh my god, what a great idea for a series.
Maybe we'll do that, or maybe we won't.
Maybe we will.
I hope we do.
What do you think about that? Because I know you liked the third act, but what do you think about that aimlessness, meandering?
I think it was still a mess, but I mean, I think I was the most invested because I was like, oh god, things are happening in this bit, and we're actually seeing both the sides in the military, and we're seeing the Civil War, which is the name of the film. That's why I was the most interested.
What about Kirsten Dunst just vanishing from the film from that point on? She's just not in it anymore.
Yeah, she's not. No. And then she had. I don't think she doesn't even have any lines in the final bit.
Then she dies.
Yeah, she dies.
Yeah.
But I didn't even really notice until like she came back in because she's so unmemorable. That's all I have to say about the film. I think. How would you rate it?
I would give it 3 stars. I think it has a lot of potential, and I feel like I've just been let down by Alex Garland again, who drops the most fire trailers. And I'm like, yeah, boy, I'm in. And then I'm out. Big time.
I also gave it 3 stars. I'd say I'm an Alex Garland fan. I mean, I did like Annihilation. I thought there was a lot of really good concepts there, but I didn't care about any of the characters. And in fact, I don't even remember them. I remember like the actors, but I don't remember anything about their personalities or who they were. But I thought the concepts were really cool with that film. And I thought Men was like scary, even if I thought the plot was a bit rubbish.
Yeah, if nothing else.
But I mean, yeah, he's still done some. I mean, 28 Days Later, I'll always be a fan of him because he did that, and so I'll always give him another chance.
Just like an abusive relationship.
Yeah. Well, it's like M. Night Shyamalan. I'll always be first to watch his new film, and it'll probably be mid, but I'll always watch it because I like his good ones. But yeah, no, it was fine. But I think we're saying if you're going to go to the cinema this week, watch Monkey Man instead.
Yes, completely and utterly. Yeah, what a shame. I'm a bit gutted by that, to be honest.
Oh well, hey-ho. Life goes on. We've got Rebel Moon next week, so at least we've got that to look forward to, eh?
I'm just looking at the 2024 list, and God, what a bad start.
It's all just shit sequels to films that weren't good in the first place.
It's really bad, or like biopics.
I don't want to watch an Amy Winehouse biopic. I'm so sorry, but I don't want to watch that.
But thank you for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow and listen to the full podcast. This is an excerpt from the weekly Slated double features. Thanks very much. Goodbye.
Bye.